the Swiss Championship. It's Sandro Santschi. Welcome.
Thank you. So what? Thanks a lot. I'd just quickly like to give you a short introduction and milestone overview about river surf safety and instructing from my point of view, actually. A little bit of history. We started in 2016-17. There was this leaflet from Max and the Rivermaid Salzkammergut, and a friend of mine in Thun came to me and he said, well, there's a lot of people now starting to river surf in Thun. What happens if there is an accident? Everybody will come to us and say it's forbidden, it's too dangerous. We have to do something for safety. So we saw this leaflet of Max, and then we started to do the same thing in Switzerland. So first it was a local idea, then it was picked up by the federation. So by that time it was called Swiss Surfing Association. I called them up, phoned them, and said, well, we'd like to do some kind of safety guide. And they said, oh yes, please do it, please do it. So that's the way I got into the federation, actually, by that time. We then built an expert group together with our National Association for Life Saving, which is called the SLRG, Schweizerische Lebensrettungsgesellschaft. We sat together, there were some other leaflets that we checked, we looked at all what's there, and finally what we had in the end was the River Surfing Safety Guide for Switzerland. We'll have a closer look at that just right afterwards. So that's how river surf safety in Switzerland was initially started. So let's have a quick glance at that. It consists of 6 basic rules that we pointed out. So that was in 2019, the latest issue of that. By the way, that's the logo of the Schweizerische Lebensrettungsgesellschaft. It is actually in an order. We were talking a lot about where we put which icon, so there is a little bit of an order inside, but they're all 6 relevant, so we just have a quick step through. I guess I don't need to read this all aloud, you can read it by yourself. First is information, get information about the spot, ask local people, go to websites if there are some. Then the equipment. So we have been talking about safety leashes. There was a big discussion about helmets or not. Now we can see that in large places where there are river surfers, helmets start to be used. In kayaking, it's just a normal thing. So we hope that soon in the future it will be a normal thing with river surfers as well, although it doesn't look that fashionable. Then if you have your equipment together, let's go to buddies is an important point. This includes nowadays as well to get yourself a little bit trained on rescue patterns and rescue ideas. So we started to do some river surf rescue courses in Thun as well, some workshops, so people learn how to rescue people from the river. And then as soon as you are there, it's the point of the spot, so get to know the spot. It was just fun because I was waiting on the wrong side of the building this morning for you guys. I was the last one to run for a quick surf before the lecture start. So it was for me that very situation. I came there and I was alone. There was the wave and me. And then I looked at the river and I was thinking back to when we did this. Because when you arrive at a new spot and there's nobody there to help you or tell you how it works, how are the currents, so you just have to help yourself. And it's an important point. So I started to read a little bit the water, where are currents, you cannot see the ground, so how deep is it, stuff like that. Then limits. One funny thing, the first issue of the icon, the surfer had a leash. So we erased that actually because of that leash discussion, and said, well, you always have to check your own limits and the limits of the situation, and respect all about the whole idea of just taking your trash bag, don't leave your kabelbinder in the rivers and stuff. So thankful, Heiko, for working on this issue, because we were in the same situation. Everybody said, well, safety first, so take the kabelbinder instead of the real leash, but we're really happy to have improvements on this. Any questions about that so far? So next step was we said, okay, now we do have some nice river surf safety campaign. It's nice, but how do we get it to people? Okay, we can put up signs where river surf spots are, where these rules are on, but how do we really get people into that? People that start to surf, who come to the surf spot, say, well, what is that? It looks nice, I want to do it as well. So the idea of the federation then was, by that time, we need basic courses. And as well as that was that big boom of river surfing in Thun, we started to realize there's a lot of people coming, and that was way back in 7 years ago. People started coming to the rivers and wanted to river surf. And when we were standing there and see those starting people down there, we said, oh gosh, this is just too dangerous, we have to do something. So that's when we started to have to work on basic courses. So that was approximately the thing. In the end, we said, okay, if we want to hold courses, we need instructors. Because by that time, I was talking to some friends of mine who work in the legal business, and they said, well, you can take some people who have never river surfed into the river and show them how it works. But if you get into an accident, and maybe it's a fatal end of the accident, you will be responsible. You can be taken to court and sent to prison if they can tell you that you have done some really bad mistakes on checking the safety of your friends. And it can even be friends. It doesn't have to be a paid thing. It can happen to anybody who says, oh, this is my friend, I take him to surf. So that's when we started to realize, okay, we have to change something. We have to set up a proper instructor course. So between 2017 and 2020, we developed the first basic course. Just we thought, okay, what do? We need a course. In the end, it was a course about half-day length, 8 participants. And from that experience on, we knew how to teach people in the river that want to start. We said, okay, now we are ready to develop the river surf instructor courses. Then we tested that, and 22 we started with a new online tool I'm going to show you afterwards. So far in Switzerland we have about maybe 12 river surf instructors, so it's not so many. But we think with all these projects and ideas, like you guys from Bern, it could be the moment when there is a need of more of these. I think also like Wave Masters you have in Hanover could be an interesting field to work on, because this is mainly about safety and not too much about river surf or just surfing techniques. I'm going to talk about that in the end. So just a quick overview, what is a basic course? What we do about 8 basic courses per year in Thun. This year we had 8 that we had to cancel because we had too much water the whole summer long, but that's about the idea. So when they come, it's first a little introduction and repetition of swimming and river safety rules. Most people know them in Switzerland, they're taught in schools and stuff. Then we take a first glance at the river surf safety rules, the ones I showed you before. And then we take a lot of time to check the spot, to really have an eye on the spot. Where are the currents? What is happening down there in the river? And also the participants, because we first do a walkthrough and then we observe what is in the river. And then first we go swim and then we go paddle. And by that time, at the end of the swimming and paddle part, I know each participant of my course, what is the level? What are they really able to do? We had participants after the second swimming run we did, they were like, oh, I'm gonna finish this here because this is nothing for me. They were looking at us with panicking eyes when they were in the first little eddy part of the river in the current, and we just had to take them out safely and say, okay, maybe this is the moment to stop. Because we realized there's a lot of people in my hometown in Thun, they see river surfing and think, oh, that's great. They have no idea of surfing, they have no idea of river swimming, and first time they jump in there, they really realize what's going on down there. So that is a really important point. After that, we try to teach them how to river surf and let them learning to river surf. and mostly in the end we do a little equipment lesson, and that's about a program for 5 hours, around that. We mostly do this in afternoons, or try to select some times when there's not too much traffic on the wave anyway. So any question about that? Nope. Just head over. So the river surf instructor, so the one who teaches this basic course, if you want to do this with us, it starts usually in about April, when you have a little meeting and take a glance at the online tool. Then some time to check the online tool on the parts leadership, methodics and communication. Then some weeks later we meet up for a short half-day workshop in methodics and leadership. This one is a dry area, so no need to swim there. We mostly hold this in tune because the experts that teach are all tune-based, so makes sense to do it there. And then the rest of the online modules and the safety concept that every participant who wants to be a later river surf instructor has to prepare. And then in June or July, depending a little bit on our planning, we spend 2 days of intense course in the water. So that is mostly in Thun and Bremgarten, the two main spots that we have currently in Switzerland, according as well a little bit on the wave forecast. If we can, we try to take some basic course along with the instructor course, so the instructors, the future instructors, have the possibility to jump into some parts of the basic course in order to see what is that. The online tool that we have is a workload of about up to 20 hours, but it depends a lot on your experience and knowledge. So if you're a former kayaker or really a river surfer that knows a lot about currents and rivers and stuff, so it takes less. If you're pretty new to the whole thing, it takes a little bit more time. And in the end, we decided to do an internship in 2 basic courses, so basic courses that we hold, and 1 future river surf instructor that comes to work there together with 1 river surf instructor that is certified. That leads then to the certification as a river surf instructor. If you want to do this, you need to be 18 plus, that's the first point. Then you need sufficient surfing skills in the river, valid whitewater lifesaver, and a valid BLS AED first aid. So we decided to take all this about life saving out of our education and put it over to the Association for Lifesavers. So people that come to be river surf instructors futurely, they already need to have a valid whitewater lifesaver. We do some stuff about life-saving, of course, and about rescue, because it's especially on river surfing, but the basic things should be already done before. So that is are the conditions if you want to do it. Now let's have a glance at what are the main competencies that we are teaching on. It's a lot to read, so just head through that, but I think it's interesting to see what is all part of being a river surf instructor. So it's all about competence and technique model for surfing, about fundamental riding elements of surfing. So there's more the sports-based part of the whole thing. Then everything about leadership and methodics, communication. Then what I personally think is very important, that river surf instructors also know a little bit about the scene. What is going on? So stuff like we do now. Where are the waves? Who are the people in there? What is going on in the whole river surfing scene? Because I think a river surf instructor should be able to tell you in a course, oh, there's other waves there, and you find this is interesting there. So that makes him a little bit a master of the river surfing. Then into legal stuff and safety stuff. So the legal situation, stuff like we have discussed before. Are you a swimmer or are you a vessel? Are you allowed to do some courses at that particular place? Then the whole thing about what brings us a wave or not, and where are the dangers in the weather, for instance, if you hold a course. And finally, we set up a little tool to categorize different river waves. So this gives me the possibility to check if at that particular wave, where I am now, is it safe to hold a basic course. Because, for instance, in Thun, in my hometown, there's 2 waves running. Those who have been on the walkthrough, you have seen it, and one is absolutely suitable for teaching new people, and one is not. So how could a river surf instructor actually say it is possible to hold a course here or not? That's why we set up that little tool. That's more for the wild ones. I mean, the project river waves, you already have your thoughts about safety and stuff, but a wild river wave somewhere out in the nature, you cannot say, okay, we build this and this for safety. It's just the way it is. So we have to have some tools to say, is it possible to hold a course right here or not? And last but not least, the whole equipment stuff, including safety equipment, but also including other equipment, just like wetsuits, because first-time surfers, if they are not ocean surfers who want to river surf, if they are like proper river surfers that start in the river, and we do have such back home. I know river surfers that have never surfed in the ocean before. They have a lot of questions as well on the whole material and equipment that a surfer needs. So that is, I just opened that slide like 5 minutes ago. This is what I know about river surf instructor in Europe and worldwide. We do have the ISA certified rapid surf instructor level 1 by Austrian Surfing. So that was initiated by Johnny Nesslinger. And we do have our own project, river surf instructor Swiss Surfing. I don't know what else is there. Maybe somebody of you knows. North America, anything?
We have advanced swiftwater training, and the group that I took that course from out of Cascade, Idaho, also teaches in Australia.
Yeah.
They're extremely well versed. They're pulling people out of the Payette River all the time. And they are just getting familiar with the river surf thing, and we've kind of worked together as it being a rescue tool in itself, right? Because you can rescue someone 10 times easier if you have a surfboard than if you're in a kayak, because they'll just take you down with them. And so they've started incorporating some of that into the coursework. You know, a lot of it's still to be figured out, like what's the best PFD that you can still paddle in and all those kinds of things. But they are starting to incorporate it a little bit. But there's no official title for it yet. It's just swiftwater training technician.
Okay, it's more about the life-saving techniques and stuff, which is one really important part of it, yeah. Yeah. Of course, yeah. Any other projects or stuff that somebody knows about? So you see, it's an open field. There's a lot to do. And that's cool. I just want to give you a short look into the online tool I was talking about, just to let you see what the work is that we did and how we work on that. It's all in German, so no need to read it if you don't understand German, but just that you see, because there's we were discussing a little bit on how to set up the whole schedule of such a river surf instructor course. And we said we want to keep it as short as possible in terms of when you have to be everyone together at the same spot. So we said if we can reduce it on a weekend, that will be the most interesting for everybody to take part of it. If you need to have a week holidays to do such a course, it's always like a little bit of a threshold for people to starting to do it. So we said if we keep it as short as possible, reduce it to one weekend that you really have to be in a certain place, that might be a big help. And we all know that our online tools that we have give us so much freedom now in organizing and learning where we are and when we want. So we said that's an important backbone of our for our course. So just have a glance at lesson 23 of 44. So that's how it works. You scroll it all through. First you have the all the learning goals and the competencies. So stuff of that we have already seen. And then we just jump into one of those. Fließgewässer. There's a lot to read and see through all. Then there's like parts where you can learn. Click on something.
Sandro, one question.
Yeah.
It's all accessible online if you do the instructor course?
Yes. Yeah, you can work on that like up to, we said, we asked the guys who did the instructor course with us, how many hours have you spent on the online tool? And it was like from here to here, depending on what your knowledge and experiences are. So if you're an experienced paddler and river surfer, this is all clear. You will go through that and say, well, I know, okay, thank you, I know, okay, thank you, I know. That's why we added in the end, we added a quiz to every part. So you can also do first a quiz and see if you have the major things already done, or if you completely in a struggle throughout the quiz, then it's better to do a little bit more of the parts up there. And finally, as soon as we are all together on that particular weekend, then all the crucial things will be asked again. So let's make it an example. So you have learned about Fließgewässer, so how about all these phenomena that you have in the river, like these ones. So first day of the instructor course, let's say when we are in Thun or Bremgarten, we stand at the wave and the surrounding place, and I say, okay, now you have 5 minutes, walk around, and then everybody has a little presentation about what you can see down there, about currents, about eddies, about all that stuff. So this is how we then check if people really know what they have to know. But we don't need to take the time to explain them all this, because they can do it online ahead. So that's how we reduce the time that we need at the place to the max. Yeah.
But this online tool is only available if you are registered to the course.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's the main idea of it. Okay. So back to that. So you see, there's a big field we can work on, and next steps to be taken from what I can see at the moment is that we want to do a combination of river surf and rapid surf in instructing. This includes then city waves and all that stuff. Makes it interesting because there's a big difference between the city wave and the river. We all know it's the safety part. So someone that teaches surfing on a city wave doesn't have to know all the details about rivers and currents and eddies and stuff, doesn't have to know all those rescuing technologies, needs to know a little bit more about methodics and sport stuff. So this will be interesting discussions that we want to have, and maybe in the future we will set up like different levels of instructors. A basic instructor who is mainly concerned about safety and how you start to river surf, and then or to rapid surf. And then level 2 is more about techniques of surfing, and then getting into styles and maneuvers and stuff. Could all be part of the future. Then the exchange. Now this is one of the starting points where you can see that we need the exchange in Europe and worldwide. So it's a big advantage to have you guys with us, and have also Neil and all those guys in those chat groups, so we can exchange on the whole topic worldwide. Along goes actually an exchange on European competitions, because it's a little bit like you know, there's a lot of things that have been invented in the past, driven by war, and a lot of sports things that get a boost, they come from competition. So if competition gets along, then this also boosts the grassroots sports, and this also boosts what we do. So this is all linked together. And there's already an exchange has been started between Germany, Austria and Switzerland. Some months ago there was a team meeting, exchange about European competitions, what we have been discussing yesterday shortly, European Championship and stuff. And one next milestone in this particular issue about riversurf safety and instructing stuff is that we said we would like to have a symposium on riversurf safety and instructing next year. So everyone who is in that field or wants to be in that field and tends to help us working in that field, just tell me, tell Paul. So we already have an existing WhatsApp group. We can take you in there. So this is one of the next milestones that we're heading towards. And I'm more than happy to share all that knowledge and the experience that we do have on safety and instructing with you to build up more solid based safety and instructing all over the riversurf projects in your countries and worldwide. Yes, your questions? More discussion points, yeah?
How much is it to the course to become a riversurf instructor?
We have it on $400.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.